On the edge of the galaxy, there was a human colony called Nova Prime. It was not the largest colony, nor the most advanced, but it was full of energy, laughter, and people who loved small competitions. Among these, the strangest one had become popular across all the colonies: the kissing contest. Whoever could kiss the longest would win not only prizes, but fame across human and alien settlements alike. Lyra stood on the balcony of her apartment, looking down at the glowing city below. Lights of all colors flickered as flying cars zipped between tall glass towers. She loved how Nova Prime never slept. Something about the constant movement, the laughter, and the hum of technology made her feel alive. People really do this? She asked herself, laughing softly. She had seen videos of the contest from Earth's history. But now, it was happening live in the colony square. The rules were simple. Couples stand on a platform with energy shields, designed to protect them from exhaustion. They hold each other and kiss. No breaks. No tricks. The one who lasts the longest wins. From her balcony, Lyra saw the crowd gathering. Humans, aliens, and hybrids from all over Nova Prime were there. Aliens often tried to participate, but they could never match humans. They lacked the stamina, the emotional bond, and something else, something unique that humans carried in their hearts. Kale, her friend since childhood, appeared at her balcony doorway. He leaned casually against the frame, smiling. "Thinking of joining?" he asked, his voice teasing. Lyra shook her head, still watching the platform. "I can't believe people spend hours kissing each other. It's silly." "4. Kale laughed. "Silly? Maybe. But humans have a strange way of turning silly things into competitions. Besides, it's fun. Don't you want to try it?" Lyra's eyes widened. "Me? In a kissing contest?" She laughed, feeling her cheeks grow warm. She had never thought of herself as competitive in that way. "I don't even have a partner." "You have me," Kale replied with a grin. "Or are you scared? I'll beat you at your own game." Lyra narrowed her eyes playfully. "You? Beat me? Don't be ridiculous." "But—" She paused, her mind racing. The idea was crazy, almost absurd, but also exciting. Maybe we could try it. Just for fun. No one's going to think less of us if we lose, right? Kyle extended his hand. "Then it's settled. We'll be the first human team to show aliens what real endurance looks like." "Boss." Lyra laughed again, taking his hand. "You're ridiculous. But okay. Let's do it." The next morning, the colony square was buzzing. The energy of the crowd was electric, mixing with the bright, pulsating lights of the contest platform. Humans and aliens crowded together, some holding strange devices to record the event. Kale and Lyra stood backstage, waiting for their turn. "You look nervous," Kale said softly. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I am," Lyra admitted. "I didn't think about how many people would be watching, and aliens too. I don't want to embarrass myself." Kale smiled. "You won't embarrass yourself. Just remember, it's not about winning at first. It's about showing what humans can do: stamina, patience, heart. And if it gets tough, well, I'm right here. With you." -9. With you. With you. Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest. Kale's words were simple, but they made her feel braver. She nodded. "Okay. Let's do this." The announcer's voice boomed over the crowd. "Welcome, citizens of Nova Prime, and honored guests from across the stars. Today, we witness a human tradition that has puzzled the galaxy: the kissing contest. Let us see who can last the longest." The crowd erupted in cheers. Lyra and Kale stepped onto the platform, the energy shield forming a soft glow around them. Other couples were already there. Some human, Some alien. Lyra noticed how nervous some of the aliens looked. They clearly didn't understand the emotional part of the contest. Ready? Kale whispered. Lyra nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. They leaned in slowly, their lips meeting in a gentle kiss. The energy shield adjusted to their combined energy, a soft hum filling their ears. Time seemed to slow as the first minutes passed. The crowd's cheers faded into background noise. It was just them, standing together, feeling the bond that humans often took for granted. Connection. Minutes turned into hours. Lyra felt her legs start to ache, but she didn't notice. She was too focused on the moment, the warmth of Kale's presence, and the strange thrill of being part of something uniquely human. Around them, other couples began to falter. Aliens blinked, confused by the endurance required. Some left the platform entirely. But humans stayed, driven not just by physical strength, but by heart. Kale squeezed her hand. "You're doing great," he whispered. Lyra smiled against his lips. "So are you. I didn't think we'd last this long." "And you underestimate humans," Kale said softly. "We last longer than anyone expects. It's not just strength. It's creativity, stubbornness, and maybe a little madness." Lyra laughed quietly. Madness? Definitely madness. As the hours continued, the crowd began to notice something remarkable. Humans were not just enduring, they were thriving. Their laughter, gentle teasing, and emotional connection made the contest fascinating. Aliens watched in amazement, recording data. "Why do they continue?" One alien whispered to another. "They should be tired. They are human," the other alien replied. That explains everything. The platform seemed to glow brighter as Lyra and Kale continued. Pain and exhaustion tried to creep in, but the humans pushed through. They whispered silly jokes, reminded each other of funny memories, and kept the moment light even as their bodies tired. Finally, the announcer's voice echoed again. 2 hours. No other species has lasted this long. Humans continue to impress. Lyra and Kale laughed quietly, their lips still together. They didn't notice the other competitors leaving the platform, one by one. They were lost in the rhythm of the contest, in the bond that humans seem to have perfected over millennia. The ability to endure, to persist, and to find joy even in the simplest acts. As the first part of the contest ended, it was clear to everyone watching that humans were different. Not the strongest, not the fastest, but relentless in ways that were hard to measure. Emotional strength, creativity, and an energy that refused to quit. Kale pulled back slightly, resting his forehead against Lyra's. "We're still here," he said, breathing heavily. Lyra smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Still here," and still, laughing. The crowd erupted in cheers, and even the aliens looked impressed. They did not understand it fully, but they could see it. Humans were extraordinary. There was something in their spirit, something indefinable, that set them apart. As the sun set over Nova Prime, casting a golden glow over the city, Lyra and Kale held hands, exhausted but exhilarated. This was just the beginning. They knew. Humans would continue to surprise the galaxy, not with brute force, but with heart, endurance, and the strange, beautiful way they connected with one another. And somewhere in the crowd, an alien recorder whirred, capturing every second. Today, the galaxy had witnessed something remarkable, not just a kissing contest, but a human victory of spirit. Lyra laughed softly, leaning on Kale's shoulder. "Next time," she said, "we might just try to break the record." Kale grinned. "Next time, we'll show them what humans can really do." The lights of Nova Prime shimmered below them, the energy of humanity burning bright. And somewhere far away, other species began to whisper about humans. Their endurance, their persistence, and the strange, unstoppable force of the human spirit. Word count: 1,302. The morning sun rose over Nova Prime, painting the city in shades of gold and pink. The human colony was waking up slowly, but the excitement from the previous day's announcement still hung in the air. The kissing contest had drawn attention from all over the colony and from species far beyond. Reports from alien observers suggested that humans were extraordinary. They did not just compete, they endured with heart, humor, and creativity. Lyra stretched and rubbed her arms, still feeling the tingling fatigue from yesterday's practice. KL was already waiting by the landing pad, leaning against the railing of the shuttle that would take them to the contest platform. His smile was calm, confident. "Ready for round one?" he asked. Lyra blinked and laughed softly. "I think so. But I don't even know if I can last this long. 2 hours yesterday felt like forever." Kale shrugged. "That's the point. Humans don't quit. Not easily. Remember, it's not just about physical strength. It's about staying connected. About enjoying it, even when it's hard. That's what makes humans different." Lyra nodded, taking a deep breath. "Okay, I'll try to remember that." The shuttle lifted off smoothly, gliding over the glittering city before heading toward the contest arena. Nova Prime's platform hovered in the sky, a massive structure with a soft blue glow that stretched out in all directions. Energy shields surrounded the competition area, designed to protect participants while giving them just enough challenge to test their stamina. When they arrived, they were greeted by a crowd that was already buzzing. Humans and aliens alike lined the edges of the platform, cheering, whispering, or recording every moment. The announcer's voice boomed over the speakers. "Welcome back, friends of Nova Prime, and honored guests from across the galaxy. Today, we begin the main kissing contest. Prepare to witness the endurance of humanity firsthand." The words sent a thrill through Lyra. She looked at KL, who gave her a confident nod. "Let's do this," he said. Other couples were already on the platform. Some humans smiled nervously, holding hands and exchanging quiet encouragement. The aliens seemed more puzzled than ever. They moved stiffly, their lips barely touching, as if trying to calculate the best way to conserve energy. They didn't understand the human heart, the joy humans could draw from connection. The rules were simple: stay connected, keep kissing, and endure. No leaving the platform until the contest ended, or until you could not continue. Energy shields would monitor heart rates and stamina, adjusting the environment to make it challenging but safe. Lyra and KL stepped forward, hand in hand. Their hearts pounded, not just from nerves but from the excitement of doing something uniquely human. Something that could inspire awe across the galaxy. They leaned in slowly, feeling the energy shield hum softly around them as their lips met. The first minutes were easy. Gentle, playful touches, whispered jokes, and shared smiles kept them comfortable. They could hear the murmurs of the crowd around them, and occasionally, an alien observer would tilt its head, trying to understand why humans were so determined. "Can you believe this?" Lyra whispered. Kale chuckled. "Honestly, it's ridiculous. But it's kind of amazing too." As the minutes turned into hours, the challenge began. Humans around them started to show signs of fatigue. Hands shook slightly. Knees grew weak, and laughter became more forced. Aliens, meanwhile, started leaving the platform one by one. They lacked the combination of physical endurance and emotional determination that humans carried naturally. Kale and Lyra continued. They whispered memories, sang quietly to each other, and held each other tightly. Their bond gave them energy beyond what muscles and stamina alone could provide. They were human, and that made all the difference. "This is harder than I thought," Lyra admitted after an hour. Her lips were sore, her shoulders a little stiff, but she felt a strange exhilaration coursing through her. Kale squeezed her hand. "It's supposed to be. But humans do hard things because we care. Because we love. That's what gives us strength. Lyra smiled, feeling a wave of pride. She had always known humans were special, but seeing it in action right here, right now, made it real. The other competitors had left, the aliens gone or too exhausted to continue. Humans, she realized, were not just survivors. They were innovators, emotionally intelligent, creative, and endlessly stubborn in the best way. As the hours passed, strange things began to happen. The energy shield adjusted automatically, creating gentle winds, mild resistance, and subtle shifts in gravity. The platform had been designed to challenge endurance, but it couldn't predict the human spirit. Lyra and Kale adapted instinctively, leaning into the challenge with humor and teamwork. Kale whispered, "Remember when we raced hoverboards as kids and refused to quit?" Lyra laughed softly. "I do. And you fell into a puddle right before the finish line." "And I still got up and finished," Kale said, grinning against her lips. "Humans don't quit. And neither do we now." The audience cheered. Aliens recorded every moment, unable to hide their curiosity. A few whispered to each other. "Why do they not give up?" one asked. "They are human," another replied. "They are built for endurance, in ways we cannot fully understand." By the third hour, exhaustion was real. Lyra's legs trembled slightly, her back ached, and every movement felt heavier. Kael noticed, but never let her see his own fatigue. He whispered encouragement, reminded her of shared jokes, and made faces that made her laugh despite the pain. Humans had this ability to turn suffering into joy, fatigue into creativity, connection into energy. "This is insane," Lyra said breathlessly. Kael nodded. "Exactly. That's humans. We make even madness beautiful." Somewhere on the edge of the platform, a group of alien scientists exchanged glances. They had studied humans for years, but the contest revealed something unexpected. Humans were not just physically resilient, they were emotionally resilient. Their endurance came from connection, humor, creativity, and determination. These qualities could not be measured by machines alone. As they continued, other human competitors who had left earlier watched in awe. "They're still going?" one whispered. "How?" Lyra and Kale had no simple answer. They were just human. They laughed at small jokes, teased each other lightly, whispered encouragement, and held on. The contest was no longer about winning prizes. It was about proving something deeper, the extraordinary power of humanity. Finally, after 4 hours, the announcer's voice boomed again. 4 hours. No species has lasted this long. Humans are extraordinary. They continue to impress the galaxy. Lyra pulled back slightly, resting her forehead against Kale's. They were both exhausted, but their spirits were high. Sweat ran down their faces, and their lips tingled from long hours. But they were smiling. Humans, they realized, thrived where others saw limits. The crowd erupted in cheers. Aliens, unable to fully comprehend the spectacle, recorded and observed, whispering among themselves. "They endure with joy?" one said. "Yes," the other replied. "They are human. That explains everything." Lyra laughed softly, brushing her hair from her face. "We're still here. Can you believe it?" Kale grinned. "I can. We're human. And humans, we never give up." The energy of the crowd, the golden light of Nova Prime, and the hum of the platform all seemed to celebrate them. This was more than a contest. It was a demonstration of human spirit, endurance, and the power of connection. As they continued, a quiet realization settled over them. The contest was not just about kissing. It was about showing the galaxy something deeper. Humans were unique. Their strength was not measured in brute force, technology, or alien tricks. It was measured in heart, persistence, and the ability to thrive in impossible situations. Kale whispered, "Do you think they understand why we do this?" Lyra smiled. "I don't know. But I think they're beginning to." As the sun set, casting long shadows across the platform, the human couple held each other tightly. The lights of Nova Prime glimmered below, reflecting the laughter, pride, and determination of its people. Humans had always been underestimated, but today, they were proving something extraordinary. They could endure, they could connect, and they could inspire awe across the galaxy. The first stage of the contest was over, but the journey had only just begun, and somewhere deep inside, the next day, the air around Nova Prime was electric. Word of the human couple who had endured the longest during the preliminary rounds spread quickly across the colony. Aliens and humans alike gathered around the floating contest platform, murmuring with excitement. For some, it was curiosity. For others, amazement. And for the humans, it was the perfect chance to show what they were truly capable of. Lyra woke early, sunlight streaming through her window, casting gold across the room. She stretched, feeling a mixture of fatigue and anticipation. Her muscles ached from the previous day, but she was excited, not nervous excited. Humans thrived on challenge, and she could feel it in her bones. Kale appeared at her door, just as she was finishing breakfast. "Ready for the final round?" he asked, his grin infectious. Lyra laughed. "I think so. I just hope we don't collapse halfway through." Lyra laughed. Kale shook his head. "We won't. We're human. And humans, we have this strange ability to push through when others can't." She nodded, remembering the previous day's experience. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest by the galaxy's standards. Aliens had superior speed, endurance, and even intelligence in some areas. But humans had something else. Heart, connection, determination. A strange, unquantifiable force that made them endure, survive, and even thrive where others failed. When they arrived at the contest platform, the energy fields shimmered in anticipation. The crowd's excitement was palpable. Humans whispered among themselves, giving encouragement. Aliens observed, some recording, others just trying to understand what kept humans going. The announcer's voice rang out. "Ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests from across the galaxy. Today, we witness the final stage of the kissing contest. Let us see if our human champions can show us the extraordinary endurance of their kind." The platform hummed as Kale and Lyra stepped forward. Other couples were already there, though most had been eliminated in the preliminary rounds. Aliens were watching, but it was clear to everyone, the humans were the ones to beat. Kale took Lyra's hand. "Ready?" he asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, smiling. They leaned in, lips touching, and the energy field adjusted around them, humming softly in response to their combined energy. The first few minutes were easy. Gentle, playful touches, whispered jokes, soft laughter. They could feel the crowd watching, but it didn't matter. The contest was no longer about proving skill to the audience. It was about proving something to themselves and to the galaxy. Hours passed. The aliens who remained on the platform began to falter. Their endurance, though impressive in their own species, could not match the human combination of physical stamina and emotional resilience. Humans had a strange ability to draw energy from connection. Kyle and Lyra whispered memories of past adventures, softly teased each other, and laughed quietly at small jokes only they could understand. "This is insane," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "That's the human spirit," Kale replied. "We take impossible challenges and turn them into something meaningful. We endure because we care. We persist because we connect." Their words were simple, but the truth resonated beyond the platform. Around them, the crowd grew silent, captivated. The aliens recorded every moment, but they could not fully understand it. They could see the endurance, measure the heartbeat, track the stamina. But what they could not measure was the human spark, the extraordinary determination, fueled by connection, creativity, and joy. Kale leaned his forehead against Lyra's. Remember when we built that hover glider as kids, even though it kept crashing? Lyra laughed softly. You mean when we almost exploded the backyard? And we kept going, Kale said. Humans don't quit. We adapt. We persist. We find joy, even in failure. That's why we're still here. Minutes turned into hours. Fatigue crept in, but it was met with humor, encouragement, and gentle reminders. Humans had a strange ability to turn discomfort into creativity. They whispered silly songs, recalled inside jokes, and found strength in each other's presence. The announcer's voice broke through. 5 hours. Our human champions continue to endure. No species has lasted this long. Witness the strength of the human spirit. The crowd erupted. Lyra and Kale barely noticed. They were too focused on each other. The contest had become less about winning prizes and more about showing the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. Their endurance was not just physical, it was emotional, mental, and deeply human. Some of the alien spectators leaned toward one another, whispering, "Why do they keep going?" One asked. "They are human," the other replied. "They draw strength from something we cannot measure. It is not stamina alone, nor intellect. It is connection. It is heart." Hours continued to pass, and other human competitors who had left earlier watched in awe. "How are they still going?" one whispered. "It's impossible." Kale squeezed Lyra's hand. "Because we're human. And humans, we have this strange energy inside us. We never give up when it matters." Lyra smiled, her lips pressed gently against his. "I never realized. It's not just about endurance. It's about what we share. That's what makes humans extraordinary." The energy field seemed to respond, glowing brighter. The platform, designed to challenge participants, could not stop the human determination. Aliens watched, fascinated. They had studied humans for years, but no data, no calculations, no simulations could predict this. Humans were unpredictable, resilient, and utterly unique. As the contest reached the 7th hour, exhaustion became real. Lyra's arms trembled slightly. Kale's legs ached. But they did not give up. Every smile, every whispered word, every laugh was a source of strength. Humans were extraordinary not because they were perfect, but because they refused to quit, even when the odds seemed impossible. "This is incredible," Lyra said softly. "I can feel something more than energy. It's like..." Kale nodded. "That's humans. We make even hardship beautiful. We make endurance joyful. And we inspire, without even trying." The crowd watched in awe. Aliens, unable to fully comprehend, continued to record. "They are human," one whispered again. "It explains everything." As the sun began to set over Nova Prime, painting the city in brilliant orange and pink, Kale and Lyra leaned into each other, smiling despite their fatigue. Humans had never been the fastest, the strongest, or the most precise, but they had heart, creativity, and an extraordinary will to endure. That combination made them unlike any other species in the galaxy. Finally, after 8 long hours, the announcer spoke again. 8 hours. Our human champions continue. They endure beyond all expectation. Witness the glory of humanity." The crowd erupted. A mixture of cheers, applause, and stunned silence. Lyra and Kale pulled back slightly, resting their foreheads together, breathing heavily, but smiling. They had done something remarkable. They had shown the galaxy what humans were truly capable of, not just in contests, but in spirit, Kale whispered. Lyra laughed softly, brushing hair from her face. We are. And somehow, I feel stronger than ever. The aliens around them recorded every detail. They could not fully understand it, but they could see it. Humans endured, not just with body, but with heart. They connected in ways that inspired, motivated, and challenged every other species to rethink what strength really meant. Lyra looked at Kale, eyes bright despite fatigue. This is what humans do. We don't give up. We find joy in the impossible. And somehow, we thrive. Kale smiled. Exactly. And now the galaxy knows it too. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the platform. The lights of Nova Prime shimmered, reflecting the determination, humor, and resilience of its people. Humans had always been underestimated. But today, they had proven that endurance was not measured only in hours or minutes. It was measured in heart, connection, and spirit. The first part of the final contest was over. But it was clear to everyone. Humans were extraordinary. Their endurance, their creativity, their joy in hardship. It was something the galaxy had never seen. And Lyra and Kale, exhausted but triumphant, smiled at each other. They had done more than compete. They had inspired awe, and in doing so, showed what made humanity shine. The platform's energy field glowed softly, like a quiet applause, as if acknowledging the human achievement. Lyra and Kale held hands tightly, feeling the bond that humans had perfected over generations, the ability to endure, to connect, and to thrive in ways others could not understand. This is only the beginning, Kale said softly. Lyra nodded, smiling. Then let's show them even more. The lights of Nova Prime reflected in their eyes, the energy of humanity burning bright. Somewhere in the galaxy, other species began to whisper about humans, not just for their technology or strength, but for their heart, spirit, and determination. The contest was more than a competition now. It was a declaration. Humanity had arrived, and they were unstoppable. The final day of the kissing contest dawned bright and clear over Nova Prime. The entire colony was alive with anticipation. News of Kale and Lyra's extraordinary performance had spread throughout the galaxy. Every species, from human to alien, was eager to see if the duo could continue their impossible streak. Lyra woke early, her muscles still sore from the previous rounds. She stretched slowly, feeling a quiet excitement rising inside her. This was it, the final stage. Not just for prizes, not just for fame, but for proving something bigger, the unique strength of humanity. Kale appeared at her door with a grin that seemed to light up the room. Ready for the final round? He asked. Lyra laughed softly. Ready as I'll ever be. But I don't want to collapse in front of everyone. You won't, Kale said, his voice steady. We're human. Humans endure. Humans persist. Humans inspire. And we are extraordinary. She nodded, feeling her confidence grow. Humans were underestimated by other species in many ways. They weren't the fastest, the strongest, or the smartest according to the galaxy's standards. But humans had something unique. Heart, determination, and an unexplainable drive to connect and thrive. When they arrived at the floating contest platform, the energy shields shimmered in anticipation. The crowd was massive. Humans, aliens, and hybrids crowded the edges, all eager to witness something they had never seen before. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed across the platform, and honored guests from across the galaxy, today, We witness the final stage of the kissing contest. Our human champions, Kale and Lyra, will show us the extraordinary endurance, creativity, and spirit of humanity. The crowd erupted in cheers. Lyra glanced at Kale, and he gave her a reassuring nod. They took a deep breath, holding hands, and leaned in. The energy shield adjusted to their combined energy, humming softly as their lips met. The first minutes were gentle. They whispered jokes, shared memories, and laughed quietly. Their bond was effortless. Time seemed to stretch, the outside world fading into background noise. It wasn't about winning yet. It was about connection, endurance, and joy. Other competitors were already struggling. Aliens who had attempted the contest faltered quickly. Their physical abilities were impressive, but they lacked what humans had: the combination of endurance, emotional strength, and the ability to draw energy from connection. Lyra whispered, "It's hard." Kale smiled. "That's the human spirit. We turn challenge into joy. We endure because we care. We thrive because we connect." Hours passed. Fatigue began to show. Lyra's arms trembled. Kale's legs ached, but neither let it show. They whispered encouragement, recalled funny memories, and found strength in the smallest moments. Humans were extraordinary, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to give up. The announcer's voice rang out after 4 hours. 4 hours! Our human champions continue. No other species has lasted this long. Witness the endurance of humanity. I have a dud. No other spot. The crowd cheered. But Lyra and Kale hardly noticed. They were too focused on each other, their bond, and the challenge. The contest had become more than a competition. It was a demonstration of human resilience and heart. By the 6th hour, exhaustion was real. Lyra's legs shook slightly. Kale's back ached, but they continued. Every touch, every whisper, every laugh gave them more energy. Humans had a strange ability to transform fatigue into creativity, struggle into humor, and endurance into connection. "This is amazing," Lyra said softly. "I didn't think we could do this." Kyle grinned against her lips. Humans always surprise the galaxy. That's what makes us extraordinary. We endure, we adapt, and we thrive. The alien spectators watched, baffled but fascinated. They recorded every detail, trying to analyze the unexplainable. Humans had been studied for decades, but nothing predicted this combination of endurance, creativity, and emotional strength. Humans were a puzzle no machine could solve. As hours stretched into the 8th hour, the platform glowed brighter. The energy shield was designed to challenge endurance, but it couldn't compete with the human spirit. Lyra and Kale laughed quietly, whispered encouragement, and even sang soft songs to keep their spirits high. One alien scientist whispered to another, "Why do they keep going?" "They are human," the other replied. "They endure, not just with body, but with heart, with connection, with something beyond calculation." By the 10th hour, it was clear. Kale and Lyra had surpassed all expectations. Other humans, who had participated in earlier rounds, watched, wide-eyed. Aliens remained on the edges, stunned and recording everything. The humans were unstoppable. Lyra rested her forehead against Kale's. "I never realized. It's not just about staying physically strong. It's about what we share. That's what makes us human." Kale nodded. "Exactly. That's why we endure. That's why we shine." Finally, after 12 hours, the announcer spoke. 12 hours. Our human champions continue. They endure beyond all expectation. Witness the power of humanity. The crowd erupted into cheers and applause. Lyra and Kale, exhausted but smiling, pulled back slightly. They had done it. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. Their endurance was not measured in minutes or hours, it was measured in heart, connection, and spirit. Kale whispered, "We did it." Lyra smiled, brushing hair from her face. "Yes, we did. And somehow, I feel stronger than ever." The aliens recorded every moment, unable to fully understand. They could measure stamina, pulse, and energy output. But the human spark, the emotional endurance, was beyond their instruments. Humans connected in ways no species could replicate. And that connection gave them extraordinary strength. The announcer raised his voice once more. "Citizens of Nova Prime, honored guests, and species across the galaxy. Today, humanity has shown its true strength. Not by brute force, not by speed, but by endurance, heart, and connection. Let all witness the extraordinary human spirit." The crowd roared, and even the aliens seemed moved, unable to fully comprehend the power they had witnessed. Humans were not only champions, they were unique, resilient, and inspiring. Kale squeezed Lyra's hand. "We did more than win," he said softly. "We showed them what humans are capable of." Lyra nodded. "Yes. We didn't just compete. We inspired. And maybe, we changed how they see us." The platform slowly descended, and the energy field deactivated. The crowd rushed forward to congratulate them. Humans cheered, clapped, and celebrated. Aliens approached cautiously, still curious, still trying to understand. One alien scientist finally spoke, voice filled with awe. "They endure not just for themselves. They endure because they connect, they care, and they find joy even in struggle. They are extraordinary." Lyra laughed softly, leaning on Kale's shoulder. "We're just human," she said. Kale grinned. "Exactly. And humans, we are unstoppable when we need to be." As the sun set over Nova Prime, casting a golden glow over the city, Kale and Lyra held hands, exhausted but exhilarated. This contest had shown something larger than themselves. It had revealed the truth about humanity. Endurance, heart, and creativity could outshine any strength the galaxy had ever known. Around them, the crowd celebrated. Aliens and humans alike whispered about what they had seen. Humans were more than a species. They were a force of spirit, heart, and connection. And Kale and Lyra had been the perfect example. Lyra smiled, looking at the city lights below. Kale nodded. "Yes, and we'll be there, showing them what humans can do." The lights of Nova Prime shimmered like a reflection of human spirit itself. Somewhere across the galaxy, other species began to whisper about humans, not for their speed, not for their technology, but for their heart, creativity, and endurance. Kale and Lyra laughed quietly, exhausted but happy. They had won more than a contest. They had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. And somewhere deep inside, they both knew that humans had only begun to shine. The stars above Nova Prime sparkled, as if celebrating humanity. And in the hearts of all who had watched, one thing was clear. Humans were extraordinary, unstoppable, and truly inspiring.